to win the league longer than I wanted to do anything.
For the Premier League, a third different champion in 3 seasons. Title-winning Arsenal captains, a line of succession that led to McClintock, Adams, Vieira, and now Merton Odegaard. Second, and now first. More than 2 decades since the last time. For the 14th time in their history. For the 4th time in the Premier League era.
Well, they've got a lot of leaders in this team. Martin Odegaard certainly leads by example. It's a heavy old trophy.
He has hold of it. In 2026, the champions are the Arsenal. To come again next week, perhaps glory again, perhaps groundbreaking Arsenal history on a European stage. But right now, for this generation of Gunners, this is their sweetest day. Congratulations to Arsenal. Good luck in Budapest. Arsenal, the champions.
Arsenal! 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 Victor Gyökeres, Saliba, Odegaard, Mosquera, Ben White, Kai Havertz, Madueke, Lewis, Skelly, Gabriel Jesus, respete los rangos, el rey ya llegó.
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 184 of The Grove Podcast. Now, thank you for listening and I hope you're all doing very, very well and continuing to enjoy the fact that Arsenal are still the 2025-2026 Premier League champions. And I mean, well, why wouldn't you be? And I must admit, it's been mad since last Tuesday when we won the league and then we had the trophy lift on Sunday at the Palace and there's all the celebrations up in North London, around the Emirates, all the content, all the chat, all the group chats, all the photos, all the showing of vids. And I have to admit, I am reaching saturation point. I'm actually exhausted from being so happy all the time. Living through it all, either through my own experiences or vicariously through everyone else's. I can't seem to help myself from scrolling through all the videos and pictures. But I think there's only so many Arsenal endorphins that my body can take at the moment. And I feel like I need a little bit of a break before going again for the Champions League final and the parade. And if we win the Champions League final, God, heaven help us. And if there's such a thing as an Arsenal-induced celebration coma, then I think that might come our way. But until then, I'll just have to manage, and I'm sure we will. And I may just have to ration myself to just the 5 hours of Arsenal content per day. And whatever, don't ask me what else has been going on in the world or with my family. No idea. Not a Scooby. I just hope that by the end of this, I'm still married. My kids are fine. I have a job and it all starts to calm down because I just have no fucking idea. Anyway, In today's show, we're going to be looking back a little bit at the Palace game briefly, looking back at the trophy lift and sort of relive some of the moments and the discourse around that, and then and about being champions, and then we'll look ahead to the Champions League final a touch. And joining me to do that and to tell me how he's feeling and his experiences is Andy. How are you doing? How's it feel to be a champion? How have you coped the last week?
Very good, Tabs. Probably better than any point during the last 22 years, I would think. It made me laugh when you were saying about the about the wife and kids, and there must be so many people in that same position, like trying to call in favours for time off work, trying to call in favours for not doing the dinner or the dishes, and it's just all in favour of a club that doesn't have a clue who you are. It's just amazing. Like some of the scenes that we've seen, like me being slightly separate, like geographically split away from London. Like some of the scenes you see, and you're just like. It just hits you about the scale that's going on, and then I walk out into Glasgow and you see Arsenal tops everywhere, and you're like, oh, we could definitely be pals, couldn't we? Like, it's just such a, I don't know, because I think to your point about not knowing what's going on in the world, like a lot of that sort of stuff is quite negative usually, but it's just been an outpouring of positive emotion and happiness, and everyone being kind of coming together, and it's just been it's been such a special week, and let's hope we can finish out another special week.
No, indeed, and my rule of thumb is ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Yeah. It's easier that way.
Exactly.
So there we go. And look, before we get on with the main pod, just as a reminder, and it does seem to work because I've forgotten or done it badly the last couple of times. But if you're enjoying what you're hearing, please leave us a nice little 5-star review, subscribe on the podcast apps on YouTube at the Grove AFC. It does help with the listener numbers and the algorithm and so on and spreading the word. So we do appreciate it. We do notice it, and if you've done so already, and if not, pause for a couple of minutes, go and do it, and then come and join back into the pod. Right, so back to Sunday, and I just want to sort of look a little bit, at Palace Way, a lovely sunny day in South London. In fact, all of London, all of the UK is melting. A game that was meaningless as far as these are the teams' league position was concerned. A game where both teams have a European final on the horizon, and the main objective was to play it out and avoiding any issues. So, what were your thoughts before that game? Sort of what sort of lineup you were expecting to see, and then just in terms of how it played out, the game.
No, exactly that. You're kind of just going in, and you're just hoping to just get through it without injury. And one of the things it was, and kind of in addition to trying to get through it without getting any injuries or trying to kind of expending too much energy, was just this thought that I was like, I'm so glad we're playing this at the end of the season when there's nothing on the game, because historically Crystal Palace is a difficult place to go. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, the train network's terrible.
You're such a dad. But yeah, historically, we've had decent results there, but there's a few other clubs that have kind of came unstuck. I know Liverpool got beat there earlier in the season, and I was kind of going into it, and I was like, it's just so nice not having the pressure of having to win with goal difference, because if we were going into that, I wouldn't have survived. Like, if we wouldn't have got the result on Tuesday, like everything had been signed, sealed and delivered ahead of the game, then it would have been completely different kind of run into the game, because then your nerves are just shot to bits from minute one when we aren't kind of 1-0 up. But no, I think the game itself, I thought it was relatively enjoyable. Like, it was just one of the first games this season, probably in the last 3 or 4 seasons, Tabs, where we haven't had any pressure or any negativity around it, because we'd already done our job. So you could kind of just sit there and enjoy it for what it was. Kind of like the only other time I could think that's probably happened is like the 7th or 8th game in the Champions League phase. So you're just sitting there and you're like, this is enjoyable. You could sense that the players on the pitch were out there for a bit of enjoyment. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus was doing his best to remind us of exactly where we might need to move on. But I thought it was just a really enjoyable game. But you are just sitting there, A, hoping nobody's injured, B, hoping nobody exerts themselves, and then C, just really wanting it to be 6:30, 6:45, so you can actually start what we're all there for.
Get on with it. Yeah, for me, it was akin to a preseason friendly. Yeah, with even less riding on it, because with preseason friendlies, you're bedding in new players, you're practicing formation, you're getting prepped for the season. This was the complete opposite of that. So yeah, it was just, as you said, it's just a free hit, a fun day out, and actually it seemed to be Palace. I don't know how is it Wharton? He had to come off after coming on, so hopefully he didn't do himself too much damage, because also there's no antipathy for Palace between Arsenal and actually there's a good relationship, like we were talking before we started the pod. There's a good relationship there between the two clubs, and we've bought and sold players from each other, and I think at the board level they've got relationships going on. So we're hoping, and there was no malice in the challenge from MLS, and so it's just bad luck, and bad luck can happen. And then look, we've been suspect, so we've been had bad luck against us on multiple occasions. So you're right, it is just that. But it just didn't feel like anyone was going to make a real meaningful challenge. And I think there was one yellow card for Jesus, but I don't even know what that was for. It certainly wasn't for taking his shirt off and celebrating his goal. But yeah, and in terms of the lineup, I think that was quite interesting to see what the lineup was going to be, because we all say, right, I don't want Saka, I don't want Rice, don't want all these players anywhere near it, but we had to play a team, and so we're a bit short in maybe defence, but we had Kepa, Zubimendi, Mosquera, Hincapié, Calafiori, then Norgard, Lewis Skelly, Dalman, and then Madueke and Jesus. I think I've got that right. Maybe, and Martinelli, and then the subs were Setford, Gabriel, Saka, Odegaard, Eze, Gyökeres, Merino, Havertz, and Rice, with Gabriel, Eze, Gyökeres, and Merino, and Havertz coming on. So yeah, what did you make of that lineup? Again, did we really have much choice? Was there anyone else that potentially could have come in instead?
No, I think the minute that we kind of got the news, was it earlier in the day or the day previous, that Timber probably wouldn't make it, then it kind of just picks itself, because like you said, you're wanting Rice, Gabriel, Saliba, Saka, Raya, nowhere near that. Absolutely nowhere. You want them kind of resting up and then coming out, doing the trophy lift, and then getting back for whatever party they ended up having, and then just all eyes on PSG. So there wasn't too many surprises. The only kind of surprise that did hit was just how we kind of set up. Moz and I were watching the game together, and I was convinced. I was like, Zubimendi centre mid, Norgard centre back, Mosquera right back, and I think ordinarily it probably would have lined up like that had we not potentially. Well, it's now likely, probably more than likely, that Mosquera is going to have to play the kind of full 90 against Kvaratskhelia next Saturday. So there's probably an element of rejigging Zubimendi's position so that Mosquera didn't have a 90 minutes, not quite bombing up and down the right side, because the intensity of the game just never required that. But just a nominal, just say right centre back, just get through the game, no crunching challenges, no kind of physical exertion. And I think that's kind of what led to that setup. Beyond that, you're kind of just looking at the lineup, and then you're forecasting forward to think about what that means for PSG. Obviously, Miles played a lot of minutes. Zubimendi himself played a lot of minutes. So one of them will have to partner Rice in midfield. It'll just be interesting to see who gets it.
Maybe we'll get to that, but it could be.
Yeah,
it
I guess
might not be there.
A couple of other options. Yeah.
Do you think with the Zubi thing, there's any nod to sort of what we did at West Ham? I don't want to get too far ahead talking about PSG, but with a potential, say, hey, Zubimendi, you play right back against PSG, or is that overthinking it?
Yeah, I think it's. I honestly think it was just we needed 11 players to fill a first 11 team sheet, and we've got injuries to Ben White and Jury and Timber, and because we wanted to rest Mosquera's legs, I think it was just we needed somebody to play there. I wouldn't have been raging at all about Marley Salmon playing there.
Well, yeah, I was surprised he didn't get a run out. I mean, why not? What are you trying to? So that's why it made me think a bit more about it, because why would you not put him there if it's completely meaningless? Why would you put him there? So maybe it is just an opportunity, if it's needed, like, we have to go ahead, we're a goal down with 10 minutes to go, and you want to take a defender off, put a forward on, and then you drop, Zubimendi into right back, for instance. So maybe there is some forward thinking there over Salmon, but I was surprised that Salmon.
And he might. I mean, how the manager goes into like probably the nth degree of scenario planning, and it might just be like we've only literally got Mosquera now that can play right back. You're certainly not going to shift Rice out of there. So then, in terms of backing up Mosquera, because like touch wood, touch every bit of like Mosquera makes it to Saturday, but there's nothing to guarantee that. So maybe it was just in case like we need a redundancy plan. Maybe it is just we'll give Zubimendi kind of 90 minutes out there just so he's a wee bit more used to that side of the pitch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like tiny thing, but it could become important if we do need to kind of call on it. But no, I think it's literally just like we needed to get the team out, and that's how it transpired.
Yeah, and look, Max became the youngest player to ever start a Premier League game, which goes with his youngest player to score a goal in the Premier League. Great to see Marino come on in the second half. I think he could have scored as well. So I think that was nice. Jesus did a Jesus things there, number of chances, scored a nice little goal, which was nice little move between Dauman, Flick, and Nelly Pass. And I thought it was very, very fitting that our last goal of the season was from a set piece, from a corner, far post, Havertz header down and volleyed in by Madueke. So it had to, what a way to sign off the season. And okay, Palace got one back, and I think by that time we couldn't give two shits. And their equaliser was rightly called off for, the guy was hit off the guy who was in offside position. So look, not much to talk about. Again, it was a shame Eza didn't get his goal at the end. You could see he was gutted about that, to make it 3-1. But I think what the best thing is also, I think it was really nice that we got the 3 points to finish on a win. I know it wasn't meaningful, but I think, and I'll come to it now, but I enjoyed the fact that we won the game. It's a nice way to sign off. So
I think just on Madueke's goal, it's funny. I watched it back in the highlights, and I think with more riding on the game, we recognise that as quite a good goal. Piece back post headed back, and he connects with it well. He finishes it well. It's just because nobody gave a shit. Everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, like it's 2-0. Like just get on to the exactly. Let's just get on to the trophy lift. Because half the time I was sitting in the game trying to listen to what the fans were singing.
or looking at the Tottenham and West Ham games.
But I thought it was quite a decent goal, to be fair. I mean, Gabriel Jesus was good as well. Like you said, the link up play, and it just shows you because I think. For me, maybe not next season, but long term, like Max's position is that kind of right attacking midfield position, and to see that link up play as the kind of pre assist, like the assist to the assist, I think is incredibly important to see him like actually delivering in that part of the pitch, because we've all seen what he can do out wide. It was really good to see that. He didn't even look when he had to play the pass. It was just off the cuff. It was kind of
nice.
I thought it was a really good goal, that first one.
So that means, okay, so with the win, we finish on 85 points, so nothing to be sniffed at, and that's with plus 44 goal difference. Scored 71, let in 27. We over 38 games, we won 26, drew 7, lost 5, and City finished on 78 points and 42 plus 42 goal difference. So I think when it didn't feel so comfortable how the season panned out, but actually how it then finished is exactly how the teams were in a way. Like, we finished our last 5 games, win, and theirs was draw, win, draw, loss. Again, the final game of the season, and you read what you want into it. But in a few years down the line, no one's going to be thinking about the nuance of it. They're going to say, well, Arsenal won that sort of relatively comfortably, 7 points and plus 2 goal difference. I think that's really nice. And again, everyone's going about the worst league in the world this year, whatever. But we scored more points than Liverpool did last year, and apparently Liverpool were the best team since sliced bread. So so it's I think it's a really nice way to finish off, and just to have that little bit of just extra bit there. And look, we're 14 points above Man United, who only played 40 games, and in fact I think what was it overall this season? We've won more games than they've played. 25 points above Liverpool, 33 above those clowns from Chelsea who thought they were title contenders after beating us 1-1 back in the autumn. So I think the table looks pretty pretty good for us. I think it ended up, as it always does, how it should do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that is it can't be understated when you do see that gap. And it is just back to that point that we've talked about a couple of times, like how quickly football changes.
Yeah.
Like you're never as we felt we were miles away after that Man City game. And if I was to if we were to have spoke and said we're going to win this league by 7 points and it's going to be done and dusted before the last game of the season, we'd all laughed at each other. We'd been like, "I'll have a bit of what you're smoking," kind of like that when you put the 40 million plus a pound on for Luis Suarez. But I just looked at it and I was like, that does look incredibly comfortable, and it doesn't necessarily tell the story of the last few weeks, but I think in general it probably, like you say, it reflects the performance of the team. And had we not had, which hasn't really been referenced at all in the last week, and I'm happy about it because we don't need to, but had we not had the length of injuries that we've had, the club with the second most injuries in the Premier League, had we not had that, we'd have probably had this shown up in April. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe even earlier. And the fact that we've kind of been able to get there with that buffer, we've got there by beating Pep in his final season. We've got there without any sort of points deduction or whatever might come out of this 115 charges thing from City. I think it's all optics, and it's like, regardless, we would have won the Premier League and nothing necessarily changes in the outcome, but the optics for like rival fans, even the optics for ourselves, I think changes massively with how the points difference and the fact that we've beaten them kind of fair and square, and Arteta has been able to have one over on Pep before he's been able to leave. Because I think you'll never know, but I think he would have I think they were trying to touch on this in the Sky coverage as well, Jamie Redknapp. Like, you'd never know whether it would have annoyed Mikel, but I feel like it would have been one of those things that he would have liked to have ticked off.
I'm pretty sure it is. You want to beat your competitor, not fair and square, but fine. If you know your competitor's cheating, you beat them, then it's even extra kudos and stuff like that. And so it's I think for sure that it's just an added thing. And look what we're up against. We all know it. The disparity between the two clubs. Look, our club, spends a lot of money. And we have got very good resources, good backers, and we'll get onto them later as well. But when you compare us to City, and I think we're like, I think I mentioned it briefly on the last pod. There's a 90% correlation between wages and winning the league, and ours is not an underdog story as such, but it also could potentially be seen as that because we're 4th and 5th in the Prem in terms of wages. I think Liverpool pay more, even I think Tottenham pay more, Man United pay more. So we're not quite there, but their wage bill is about 80 million a year higher than us, and that's the equivalent of 5 Sakas on your books. Now imagine we had 5 times Bukayo Saka in our team. Well, we'd never have him in the team at any one time, but you know what I mean. But so if you look at that and the backdrop of the sports washing and what we're contending with, irrespective of the 115 charges, whatever they get thrown at, I think I'm pleased that we did it. Look, had they got banned and had whatever happened before this happened, I would still take it because you're cheating and so get lost. But this is even sweeter for us that even with your cheating, eventually you still can't. They dropped 100+ million in just like that in the winter. To bring Semenyo and Graham. Semenyo, if it wasn't for Semenyo, they would even be nowhere near us. And they were able to dismiss like Reinders that they bought last year and Marmoush that they bought last winter and stuff like that. So the thing is not just what they spend, and then people talk about net spend as well, which is not a thing. It's just the ability to just dismiss stuff. So they can spend 70 million on someone. No, rubbish. Well, let's go and spend another 70 million. Who else? No one else can do that. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's like we say, good to go over the line and beat them at not at their own game, but it's good to just get it signed, sealed, and delivered, and now we can. But I don't know how much you're willing to touch on it, Tabs. But I was like, while we're on Man City, I was. Did you see any of the fixtures? Not fixtures. Sorry. Did you see any of the footage from the Man City Trophy parade yesterday?
I saw some of it. I'm happy to go there. I'm not going to go too big in it because we know there are tin pot club with no fans, so I didn't expect anything different.
Yeah.
But go, and then I saw the really weird stuff afterwards in the inside some sort of arena or whatever. But anyway, tell me your thoughts.
I wasn't. It's not necessarily like to compare reactions to titles and things like that, because I mean, I think if we were as successful as they have been over the last 10 years, that you might stay similar. It's just like this is a reaction to 22 years of nothing. But what I was kind of thinking is, we've now got over the line after 22 years, and every bit of reaction to us winning has been extremely well documented. Everyone's got a phone. Like, everyone seems to have a drone these days. Like, there's drone footage of everything. And not only does getting over the line and finally winning attract players, but I think the fans' reaction is going to inherently attract players, and not necessarily directly from City, but I think players will look at like the City fan reaction to their domestic cup double and the Arsenal fan reaction to us winning the league and being like, they're maybe paying an extra 10, 15, 20 grand a week, but I want a part of that. I want to be a legend. I want to just experience that for 2, 3, 4, however long it's going to be. And it's not artificial. It's completely organic. It's completely fan driven. And yes, there's things the club do to foster that, which are all really good initiatives. But everything that we've seen since Tuesday and Man City dropping those points has just been completely organic from the fans. And I just think when like players look back and they look at I think they would look back at the trophies that they've won, but they'd also look back and want to have been through really, really, really cool experiences.
Yeah, the adulation and the love sort of thing. Yeah.
And I just look at the difference between the approaches of the two sets of fans, and I think what we've done, although completely organic and not constructed around attracting players, is going to have a positive effect when players come into the club.
No, absolutely, and a lot of that is down to Arteta and what he's done, and I'll touch on that a bit later. But no, absolutely, and if we're going to have multiple things that are going to attract us this year. But I think the one thing that you could tell, like, was it the Crystal Palace home game? You know, the crowd was half. I don't know if it's half empty, but I'll say half empty just to prove a point. And the crowd seemed disinterested. There was no atmosphere. You're trying to win a league here, and it just felt very dead. It felt there was nothing there. And again, okay, you know, complacency, and we've been here, done that, won it so many times. Another trophy, you know, whatever. But still, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be that apathetic about the whole thing. We'd be going for it. And you know, and then for some reason now they've got this massive new stand as well, which I don't know how they're going to fill that up. You know, at the moment, you know, the extension bit. So yeah, I don't know. And look, each to their own in terms of their fan bases. I'd rather focus on us being positive. But you're right. I think I like the point about players. Ooh, I want a bit of that because, like, you know, what's another million on top of however many millions you've got, sort of thing, you know, versus, if I could have imagined being part of that reaction and so on. So no, I like that point of view. And yeah, it's just another thing to, you know, when you're sending a player when you're sending Mbappe and the likes a brochure, you know, just, do you want some of this? Yeah. And there you go. So, so look, on the season, so I've got some stats here, and you can react as how you want on these, or stop me if there's anything. So everyone knows about these 0 red cards. By the way, City did the same. So yeah, so it's not like we're the only ones that get affected. But anyway, 0 red cards and 0 penalties. And look, granted, we could have had some given against us, but that's how the season goes sometimes, and especially when you win it, things just go your way. And we've had our fair share in previous seasons of pretty shitty red cards and penalties, you know, especially last season. So, yeah, evens out over a period of time. And this was at our time. We scored in 35 of 38 games. So I think twice against Liverpool and once against Forest, which we didn't score in. So that's the best in the league in terms of games scored in. And this also, in terms of putting into context where we are again, everyone's looking at it and say, this is such a poor league. No, this is the toughest league there is. It's so hard. Every game is attritional. Every game is tough. And this year, but the gap between 18th getting relegated at like West Ham and 7th, which was 7th was Sunderland, was 14 points. Last year it was 40 points.
Yeah.
So that's unbelievable. And as far as Arsenal's concerned, we got the most points, most wins, fewest losses, fewest goals conceded, most clean sheets. We're the second best attack. We're top of the table home form and away form. And then in another stat came up, I think it was on BBC on Match of the Day, Europe's top 5 leagues per game, goals conceded 0.71, we're first. Shots on target faced 2.4, first. Shots faced per game 8.2, first. Expected goals against 0.75, first. So look, and I got some more to come as well, but we lent into our strengths. If you don't let in a goal, you've got more of a chance of winning than if you let in a goal. And we stuck to that. We know we haven't got the elite attack like other teams potentially have, like Liverpool were trying to build, like Haaland, how Man City sort of have to an extent. So we lent into our strength, and just all those stats there just and people forget defending as much as part of the game as scoring, and it may and there's a beauty and an art to it. Ask the Italians in the 80s and 90s to defending, and it can be a beautiful thing. No one's saying Maldini is rubbish, or Baresi is rubbish, or Becker, but not Beckenbauer. Who was the guy? Franz Beckenbauer and the likes from then. They're regaled as amazing players. So just those stats alone just show how good a team we were, and how I really do think how underappreciated and how easily dismissed that all is.
Yeah, and I think probably playing into that slightly is because something that I don't know why this shocks me, but something that does shock me is the I'm not even going to say neutral, but like your average football fan and how much they're influenced by what they read or what Gary Neville says in his 4:30 on a Sunday commentary. And I think because they don't live and breathe this football club like we do, they don't see everything. And they're never going to. They're not Arsenal fans. They like we as like a collection of everyone in like the various group chats are probably much more involved and much more across what happens in our football club compared to like 85% of other fans of other clubs. But I think there's always been this thing hanging around with Arsenal about they play nice football and they're kind of small and like they're intricate. And I think there's a little bit of that hanging over. But I think now that we've won it, I think it will change. I think we will get our plaudits for the way we defend. And I think, to be honest, I think we're going to change that next season. I think he'll see how much of a gap or a strength we have in the defensive side of the game, ball recoveries, getting back into position. I think he'll see that, and he'll see that as an opportunity to then maybe loosen the strings elsewhere, forward, more further up the pitch, both with new signings, but also in the way that we play. I think this season, like we've referenced a couple of times, was just about getting over the line, and however we did that was going to be a success if we managed to do it, and we have done it now. So I think we will see a bit of a pivot. But I think in terms of getting our plaudits and stuff like that, I completely agree that I think this is the hardest league, and it's the hardest this league has ever been. Like the players that you see rocking up at, I mean, Bournemouth are maybe a slightly exceptional case, but the players you see rocking up at newly promoted clubs, the players that you see playing for Newcastle who finished 12th, they were in the Champions League this year and they finished 12th. They've got some issues of their own, but like it just screams the quality in this Premier League. So you can't have this is the best league in the world and it's a really, really good league, and look at the strength of look at Aston Villa winning the Europa League, but then also the team that win it are a joke. And it's just I think it's just a bit of a reaction to who Arsenal's identity, what it used to be, a collection of people, including some in the media, not wanting Arsenal to win. But I think now we've done it. You've probably seen some of the change in the way that Mikel Arteta has been spoken about over the past week is insane. He's now this god, and like we all joked about it happening, and it's like, the light bulb stuff drawn on the whiteboard, that'll be an inspirational thing once we go over the league. But I expected it to happen over a couple of months. You've seen it within like the titles of like the Telegraph and all that, and then on Twitter and Sky and stuff, and it's like Arteta this, Arteta that. He's the greatest manager. They've not said that, but it's almost like he's this inspiration. And if only other clubs stuck by their manager like Arsenal have done during the difficult times. And Like, I just, I think we're now, and I know we're going to kind of come on to it a bit later. I think we're now, not only as a squad and a fan base, kind of going into the next phase and the evolution of what this can actually become, but I think the whole optics around the club is about to change significantly, because I've noticed it over the past week.
Yeah, and yeah, and I'll get onto it now, because I was going to talk about Arteta and a couple of things, and the revisionism on Arteta for me, I'm not sure how to take. And these are even within the Arsenal fan base. Externally, it's fine. That's their job. You know, football changes, so opinions will change, and fine if you can't. And then fair enough. In a way, winning the league is that one extra step. Oh, okay, now you've justified what you've done. But I don't know. But the revision within the fan base, like things like saying, I like him now because he was brave putting MLS in midfield. Or was it just a case that he was managing resources and something clicked? I mean, that's to denigrate Zubimendi. Well, Zubimendi was a massive part of why we got here. He just fatigued out. He was the player that played the most minutes and never done that before. No winter break, no nothing. So, it's very results based analysis type stuff, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. And okay, results are everything at the end of the day, but it doesn't. The result is the consequence of something, but you might be doing something right. It's just variance or something shit happens. It doesn't mean you're not doing something right just if you don't get the results. And yeah, I think winning the title will change point of view on Arteta. But for me, it doesn't change anything, because even if we had not won it, I think what he's been doing, the way he's been doing it, the approach he's been taking has been great. His philosophy, and I don't think it would differ. It's just about getting over the line, and I don't think he did anything different really, unless we will see the documentary and prove him completely wrong. I don't think he changed anything in terms of how he approached stuff to get over the line. It just worked this time round, and last season we know about that. 2 seasons, there's also the reason. This year was just our time, and so for me, it doesn't really change my perspective on who he is and what I wanted out, and I would be more than happy for him to continue for years. But he did have the interview. He came across that he said he did have some doubts, which are normal. That he may be thinking himself, he's only taken this team so far, and he's not maybe the man to finish the job off. I mean, I'm so glad he has, but it's bizarre.
On that point about not changing, did you see that Athletic article that was going around? Maybe a couple of, I think it must have been just after the Man City Tuesday result, about kind of loosening off on training and
that was after I mean, he doesn't change his philosophy, but he'll always listen to the team. He'll always garner opinions. He's always a growth mindset type of guy. We've seen him all his leadership style. But Ezra came to him and said, his response to losing is to train more.
Yeah.
Ezra, can you just back off, and we've got this, but we need just a bit of breathing room space. And he goes, oh, fine. Yeah, if that's what you need, that's what we'll do, sort of stuff. So is that the one you mean, that one?
Yeah, that exactly. Yeah. I thought that was really interesting, because I think we all thought there was a bit. I always go back to when we were discussing, and I was like, I was always worried about that Marcelo Bielsa thing. I think I've said it a couple of times about him just running players into the ground, and that's why we were ending up with injuries. And when I read that about him kind of training, like doubling down almost, I was like, oh, maybe it was going that way. But like, sometimes it just takes for players just to like have that bravery to not question the manager, but just be like, look, we have this. Look, we just need this. And like the amount of times, that's a lot of what a good
what a good leader does. That's what, and look, I'm fortunate enough to be in that sort of role, and these are the things that they train in, and you live. It's the cliche. Two ears and one mouth type stuff. Yeah. That stuff, but it's true. And
it's like a two-way street, though. It's like, yes, the more senior person is in the more senior position because of their experience and their know-how. But that doesn't mean they know everything. And I think a part of a good team is fostering that kind of culture and that relationship between the more senior person and trust and their team, so that if something is going either slightly wrong or things could be done slightly better, the team, I'm talking now probably more in an office context, just because that's...
No, it's the same. No. Leadership is leadership. irrespective. It doesn't. The environment changes, but the principles remain the same. So
and then they have the trust to kind of suggest what might be a path forward, and then that person that's in charge can then make a decision as to whether that's right or wrong. And we've heard Arteta being called the taskmaster, and he's in control of everything. And he changed his job title to become the head, because before he was the head coach and now he's the manager. He just wants all the power. And I think that article just kind of goes to show. No, he just, and he admitted it himself, like you said earlier. He had doubts himself. He didn't think he knew absolutely everything, but what he was able to do was kind of press pause at the exact right moment and be like, this is what my players are asking for. This isn't coming from an 18-year-old. This is coming from a 27-year-old England international. Let's listen to it. Let's try it. And I think that, because we seen it in, what was the game, Fulham? We seen it. They came out a completely different team, and I remember. I think I texted you. I was like, "What the hell is this?" We were just struggling to put passes together against Newcastle the previous week, and nothing in the tactics changed. Nothing in I guess the lineup slightly changed with MLS coming in midfield, but it was more a mentality shift, and it was just like a release of pressure. It was a release of I don't know. It was just
just
the whole approach.
Just a freedom, and that humility there. Humility again in leadership is a massive thing. To admit you don't know everything. I'm reliant on my team to help me as much. I'm here to make the decision, and the buck stops with me. So I make decisions, but based on multiple data points, multiple inputs, and all the rest of it. And the players are part of that. And I think, and I'm sure he's humble within it. So I'm sure he's there going, look, I don't know everything, guys. Yeah, I'm here, but you guys need to feed into it. And this is his first job. He dealt with a toxic club during COVID. And then the progression he's done year on year, rebuilding the club culturally inside and out. So it's like what we were saying at the beginning about the fans. And then he's formed this amazing squad. And people still were blind to that, still say, oh, well, he hasn't won it now for 3 years, I want him out. And it would rile me, and I'd get really angry, and I felt like I had to defend him, because how can you not see this? And yes, we all want to win stuff, but grass isn't always greener. Really, what else is going to come in and see this out? And so I think there's real vindication for his work, his hard work, and hopefully it's the beginning. And I will be forever an advocate of his, in terms of what he's done. And I think for me, this title, and we will talk about it a bit, of all the players who you like it, this title for me is for him. This is his title. I know he's all about the collective, and he's all about the we and the team effort, but primarily for me, he's the one that's won this one. He's the driving force. He's the one that I was really the most pleased to see lift a trophy, But he doesn't make it about him. He's very much the we, even though if people online idiots are saying, oh, it's all about Arteta. No, he's far from. It is so far removed. But I wish people would be more like, for me anyway, this is your title. You've done this, and you've earned this the most as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Because I maybe wouldn't go personally. I wouldn't go that hard, but I completely see where.
I'm getting a tattoo of Arteta on my back.
Yeah. I think his wife should be worried based on that last 5 minutes. I wouldn't go. I think it is the players, but he's been absolutely fundamental to pick. You just think back to that Man City home game where he was in the opposite side of the dugout, and how empty the stadium had been prior to that against Eintracht Frankfurt and all these Europa League teams. And fast forward only 5 or 6 years. Well, it was only 3 years until we were up challenging again, and then it's taken us 6 years to get over the line. But to continue and to have the belief in yourself and the belief in your players that, from day one, that your strategy's right and your plan is right. You just need to kind of keep implementing it, keep going, to have the resilience to keep coming back when you're fighting against massive clubs with massive funding, and you're getting injuries, and then all these other things that are happening, and you've got a referendum every other week out on your job. It does just speak to a special kind of character to then have the leadership, both looking upwards but also down for his team. It does. I don't think I cannot think of another manager who would have been able to take us from where we were to where we are right now. Like, because he's always said it was like, oh, he's really intense, but we needed intensity. We
Yeah,
needed somebody to weed out Aubameyang and Ozil and Doozy, and we needed somebody to. Yes, some of his stuff is quite gimmicky, but like, who cares? It's not communicating.
it's not.
Like,
It's not for us.
Yeah.
It's not for us. It's for the players, and they love it.
Exactly.
It's for a bunch of teenagers and young men who are just finely tuned professional athletes. It's not for me and you. Yeah,
And-
we've seen this stuff before and we just laugh at it. But it's like,
You look across all the key metrics, and like now he's able to tick that box of winning a major trophy. But the thing that's been not the most important, but like the most pleasing for me has just been that connection with the fan base. And I think he's gonna he'll put the trophies above everything, but he'll look at those scenes from Tuesday and then Sunday and basically every day since Tuesday. And I think that will bring him so much pride when he looks back and he compares the toxicity of Wenger, then it going even worse, Emery, with the empty stadiums and just the flatness and apathy around the club, to see how that shifted and because I think a lot of that is to do with him. It's got the North London Forever song, the tifos, all of that is playing into it, and I think he'll be so incredibly proud of that as well as the success. And I don't think we would have got that from someone who hadn't played for the club, captained the club, and had so much of an in-depth knowledge and like intricate understanding of the club. I don't think we would have got it from anyone else.
But it's also the way his emotional reaction to seeing it from the other side. There was something visceral there that I can't let this happen to this club that I love. I need to do something about it. So he had that driving force behind it, and I think he noticed, because the first thing he did was, it doesn't matter about the pitch. He's changing the culture. Then I can change the football, and then I can just get the players that I need over time. But his first thing wasn't, oh, I need to get a new left back and I need to do that. No, his thing is, all right, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
You're either on board or you're not, and that's the cultural shift. Everyone who's not on board, fuck off. I'll get people who want to be on board. Once I've got that, then I can build. And then he built from I've got rubbish defenders, so I play at 5 at the back. And, now let me improve that. And it's just that progression. And the next progression is, and you mentioned it, is we lent our strengths defensively because we don't have an elite attack. I don't think this is what he wants. If we have an elite attack, boy, we're going to score a shitload of goals, and we're not going to let any in. So we'll have it won by Christmas next year. But yeah, and I really do think that, with everything that's been now reframed revision, the last 3 years of coming second will be seen completely differently. From failure, which it never was failure, failure to an extent, but really coming second, challenging City, challenging Liverpool, is not easy, but everyone dismisses it. All of a sudden it's, oh wow, that's real consistency. Look at that, second, first. Wow, isn't that great? Yeah, rather than fail. Oh, finally, yeah. So I think that will be really different. So yeah, and look, just there was one final stat, because we started getting on that there in terms of the stats, which was interesting, that Arsenal have only trailed by 2+ goals this season once, and that was for 26 minutes, and that was the Carabao Cup final. So not in the Premier League, not in the Champions League, not across a 61 game campaign. Just 26 minutes were we down by 2 goals maximum. And then Arsenal spent 8.6% of match time behind on the scoreboard. So again, 93.4% of the time we're equal or ahead. So again, just lends itself to what we're doing. So I will touch on some other stuff and other teams in a bit, but I want to now get to the trophy lift and just the day itself. So how did you experience the Palace game and the trophy lift? What was your sort of your day like? Unfortunately, I heard you had to spend it with Moz. But, there we go.
Yeah, we didn't. We've made a bit of a ritual of going to Nando's at the Glasgow Quay for a bit of a pre-match meal beforehand, and then watching it at mine. So we followed that on Sunday. I'm not gonna lie, sitting there on Friday and Saturday, seeing all the reactions, and I was like, should we get a flight down? I think had we not been going to Budapest on Thursday, I think I'd have came down for it just to watch it with everyone, and then to have the kind of street party afterward. But yeah, so we kind of had our usual Nando's, watched it in the house, honestly, for I think for the actual game, we were half on our phones. I was doing a bit of ironing, like, like, just like fingers crossed, fingers and toes crossed that no one gets injured. But other than that, that was the extent of my interest. And then, yeah, as soon as the 90. Well, actually, I'm sure you want to talk about what went on with the Sky coverage in between. It's like it's probably a bit of us just being like, we just want to see the trophy, and like
Yeah.
all they would have shown us was either some kind of former former footballer talking about Arsenal, which we A, don't care about, or B, they would have shown us the Crystal Palace
Yeah.
trophy or kind of end of season announcements. But I was just sitting there, I was like, I don't care about these like, do you know what I mean? I don't care about all these.
Well, unless it was 1-1 and Everton were banging the door down trying to get a winner.
Yeah,
But,
I was just like sitting there. I was like, can we get this over and not get the trophy left over? But I was like, can we get all this middle bullshit out over and done with? We were just sitting there, like the TV volume went up and up and up, and then it was kind of feeling like it was building to a bit of a crescendo. And then when you seen which I thought was also a really nice touch, when you seen all the backroom staff and the kind of I'm assuming it's people that work in the stadium and stuff coming out in the third kit. I thought that was a really nice touch, because it's kind of like the kit is emblematic of the team, and it kind of shows that they are part of, they're not in the first team, they were obviously wearing the red, they don't play the games, but it shows that they're part of kind of one team, and I kind of like that when they came out, because you don't get to know who these people are, and they're not on.
No, but it takes everyone. We just see the 11 players or the 15 players or whatever, but behind the scenes, just so much goes into it, and even more so now. Not back in the day. You have a masseuse and a kit man, and that was it. Now it's just everybody. It just takes. It just takes. They say it takes a village type stuff, and our village was on show, but even then they had all the parents and family out there. Piers Morgan, what the fuck was he doing there? But anyway, that's another thing. But all people associated with the club and stuff like that. So it's that whole family feel. And I'm sure this is not unique to us, but it's lovely for us to see it and for them to be on there. So yes, the focus on the players, but it's great for them.
Yeah.
I'll get onto your highlights on the trophy lift but for me, met up with sort of fellow Grovers. So I went up to North London. We went to the Hercules to watch it, but we knew the pubs would be rammed. I think Tollington sold out the day before within seconds. The Gunners pub, and the 12 pins, there were queues for big queues from like about 10 o'clock. And so I we said, right, we need to get to the Hercules for about 10:30 to make sure we get a table, get in front of the TV and enjoy it. And when I got up to Holloway Road, it was like they say 10:30. It was like a match day. It was literally like a match day. The amount of Arsenal fans out there walking around in shirts, the atmosphere, it was nuts. And then we got to the Hercules, and oh my god! And the seat that we had, we're in the back. If you know it, we're in the back room. There's a big glass atrium type thing in the roof, and it was like a fucking sauna. There was no windows. The aircon was poxy. All of us, we sweated so much that when that wrinkly stuff you get, when the tips of your fingers wrinkle. We were sweating so much that all our fingers were getting wrinkly because it was just so hot.
Do you know why just a fun fact? Do you know why your body does that?
Go and tell us, enlighten us.
It's an evolutionary response so that you have better grip underwater.
Very good, very good. I feel like the deep from the boys now. Okay. Anyway, I hope not. No, God, he's terrible. Anyway, yeah. So it was just so hot in there, and we were in there from 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I think, oh my God, it's a long game. The game's not there. The game's not on until 4 o'clock. So I bought Scrabble. So we had a game of Scrabble for an hour, just to kill time. And then people kept them coming in, and it was a good atmosphere. And the bar was really good in terms of putting tunes on, and there was a lot of crowd atmosphere, and a lot of singing of Arsenal songs and stuff like that. But it was just an immense atmosphere. But just then waiting and being there all day, and then having a few drinks and whatnot. And we actually had to go outside to get fresh air because it was just too hot, and you're just coming in and out. It was unbearable. Then we watched the game, and we watched the trophy lift, and so that was cool. And then after that, we then met up with some other Grovers, and we went to the stadium. Now, so people who saw Tuesday night, all organic, no one around. What happened yesterday? On Sunday was the police were obviously more aware of what's going on, and also because people are drinking all day, it felt like there was going to be a bit of a different vibe. You know what is it? All day drinking, and then as soon as the trophy lift is over, they spill out onto the streets. And unfortunately, even within us loving Arsenal fans, there's the odd dickhead around there and walking on. Huh?
Was there a bit of trouble?
No, not trouble. But the atmosphere just felt a bit different. So everyone's boisterous, but it's just got that I've been drinking all day boisterousness, on top of it, and stuff. And it just felt a bit different. And I don't know, it was just something in there. Nothing happened. It wasn't no trouble. It felt a bit different. But also, then the police presence was there. Now, look, this isn't anything. The police weren't doing anything wrong. They're trying to control it. But their presence then also then. It's they're in, when they sing is well, if you're observing the experiment, you're making a difference to the experiment. Just the police being there, and I walked past someone, heard someone, oh, you're here meant to protect us. And, so you already got people who are just anti-police with an aggro sort of thing about that. So what they did, they actually shut off access in various routes to the stadium. So if you were coming from Finsbury Park via the Tolly, you couldn't get there, and via under the bridge, you couldn't get there. If you're trying to get there from like where Holloway Road Station is, which was basically rammed with people, the traffic had to stop. Basically everyone spilled onto the streets, and either side just couldn't go anywhere. So the police were stopping them there. So then people were getting angry, well, why are you stopping me from going in there? So what we had to do is walk all the way around to sort of where West Drayton Station was and where the bridges are and the big Arsenal concrete sign is, and then they'd let you in there. They were confiscating drinks, so they didn't want people drinking on the streets. So then we could get to the stadium. So we sort of hung around by the Tony Adams statue for a bit. Some people went off, and then I went down to the front where it was just like Tuesday, just kicking off. The atmosphere was amazing. The flares, the fireworks, just it was just going on. And it was sort of like, it was just sort of staying. I wasn't participating. I was just like watching it, taking it all in, and like, I'll go in 5 minutes. Like 2 hours later, still there. Yeah. It was just so absorbing, and then chatting to random strangers and just hugging and all the rest of it. It was incredible to be there, and like what you said, you see it on the TV. It was like that. I'm surprised there weren't more injuries, because people were climbing up things that were not designed to climb up and so on. But it was really good atmosphere, and I'd imagine it was a bit different to Tuesday because that was just so unique. But it was incredible to be out there.
Yeah, some of the videos of the night when I'm assuming it was the kind of Ashburton Army guys were on the kind of top of the armory and they had the flares going. I was like, that's unbelievable. I was like, it was literally transporting you into like a city in Eastern Europe, and I was like, that looks so. Like, I know people have their opinions on flares and stuff. I personally like that sort of thing, so I love when you see the videos and like,
it creates an atmosphere. I felt like shit the next day though. My throat and you felt the smoke. You don't feel great from it. But no, at the time, the atmosphere. You now know why they put their scarves over their mouths, not because they're trying to hide their identity, because they don't want to take in all the flare smoke. But no, it was as you'd expect.
Yeah, it just looked so cool, and like being able to like kind of experience that vicariously through a phone is it's something unique to like 2026, because you wouldn't have got that in 2004. So really happy about that. Really excited about what is going to happen in Budapest, because I think it'll be. I mean, it's a pretty much like a 2-week long party, and this will be like my first experience of it and that vibe, and so I'm absolutely.
I think Budapest will be like a mixture of that plus what it was like to be at Selhurst Park. So some of the songs that they were doing in that atmosphere. So when we're in the stadium, we'll be singing that "We Are Unbearable" and Declan Rice said "It's Not Done," and we'll be singing all that, and we'll be singing it in the bars and all the rest of it. So I think it'll be a sort of a combination of a mixture of being like what it was like to be at Selhurst Park and what it was like to be at the stadium. But it was interesting you said that. What were your memories, or if you have any memories, you're not that young, of 2002 and 2004. Can you remember how it was back then at all?
Not much, man. So 2004, I would have been 11. So Like, you're
I
kind
guess you're
of
just
just
a
getting
kid.
into football at that point, and my memory is absolutely shocking at the best of times. But like, I remember my thing with Arsenal was the 2005 FA Cup final. That's my
Right.
first, like, memory. I was watching the games, but I wasn't like emotionally involved. I don't think in
Mm.
2003-4. Uh,
Yeah.
and I was going to like a few games with my dad here and there, but I can't really. The first time I remember emotionally connecting was the 2005 season.
Mm.
And the game that sticks out for me was the FA Cup final and the penalties, and then after that, it was like fully on board.
Yeah.
So I can remember bits and bobs of like the 2002 season.
Okay.
Again, it's very. So this feels like the first, like,
Yeah.
uh, it feels like the first time I've ever, because pretty much like I remember, I don't get it anymore, but like at school, my pals were always like, "Oh, Glory Hunter, Glory Hunter," and it's
Have
been.
you not seen what I've been through?
I was like, it's been a 22-year heartbreak.
Yeah, if you want glory hunting, go and I'll support Rangers or Celtic for crying out loud.
Exactly. So yeah,
Oh.
it felt like it felt like this has been like the first jumping off point for me.
On a side note, and I have to mention about Scottish football because I saw this the other day and I don't know if you know about it. So sorry, we're not talking about Arsenal for 2 minutes. The Motherwell sponsorship deal. Have you
Oh,
heard that story?
yeah, the drunk dealers.
So they thought it was like Homes Direct. So they thought there were a couple of contractors,
Yeah.
and they ended up being drug dealers who sponsored Motherwell Football Club.
Yeah, they were also. So it turns out they actually were also a home renovation company, but they were just like putting like millions and millions through the books. Which is classic.
Unbelievable.
I don't imagine you've ever been to Motherwell, but it's not the nicest of places.
Okay. Anyway, I thought that was very funny. So back to 2002 and 2000. So I was lucky enough to be at Highbury for both those trophy lists. And 2002, again, it'd been a while. What was the most memorable part of that was the upper tier of the North Bank bouncing. It was bouncing, and you could feel it. You were up there, and you could feel that the upper tier of the North Bank at Highbury, and it was like, oh god, this feels. But apparently, it was designed into it, the feature, but it didn't felt a bit off. But yeah, it was very different, and it just feels. In 2004, I didn't have it. Well, I didn't have a ticket, but managed to get one off a tout beforehand, but for £100, to get in to see the last game of the season, see the trophy lift. I mean, Jesus, imagine. Well, one, I guess if you extrapolate out what £2,400 is worth now, but yeah, me and a friend went up there and said, okay, we got £100 in our pocket to see if we can get in. Unfortunately, what the tout had done, back in the day, if you'd had tickets and lost them, they send you duplicate tickets. So he's obviously he's got 4 tickets. So when we got there, no one in the seat. We sat there, and then 2 other people turned up and said, these are our seats. And we didn't really know how to manage it, so we both left and sort of hid in the aisles and tried to. And people back then would sit down properly during matches rather than like stand up. You could, but we managed to watch the game sort of crouching down and not get fouled. But but both were amazing experiences and great to see. But it was sort of like, you'd have a couple of drinks in Finsbury Park afterwards. There'll be car horns beeping, there'll be a bit of fun, and then you go home on the tube and you're singing Sol Campbell songs or whatever, and taking a piss out wherever and whatever. But that was it. You soak it all up, get drunk, buy the newspapers next day, and watch it. And then I didn't bother with the praise, but that was it. So this feels so different, just so all consuming, all involved, and also then it was a very local experience. You're either ticket holder, season ticket holder. There wasn't. So it was very local to fans, whereas now this is global. This is see the scenes in Kenya, for crying out loud, and anywhere else. It's this, and so again you can experience it so much better and so differently, to back then.
Yeah, and it kind of it's just going to breed like a whole new level of interest and new like super fan from everyone that's probably wouldn't have been. Like, I wasn't exposed to any of that, obviously, because we didn't have smartphones, and like you might have had like a 1 minute. I was just a fan, I think, like just through my dad. But there's now going to be people like on TikTok or whatever, or like Instagram Reels, and they're going to see that and be like, "Oh, I want to be a part of it." Kind of like what I was saying at the start, but the players want to be a part. There'll be loads of people now being like, "I'm going to be an Arsenal fan." That looks absolutely unreal. And yeah, it's just like. There's so many factors around this that make the next 5, 10, 15 years so exciting if we do it properly.
Mm, mm. And you're right, yeah. And the people from all over the place. What was in terms of experiencing this, but when I'm out in the sticks, it takes me about an hour and a half to get to the Emirates, and even at 9 o'clock in the morning, catching my train, there were other Arsenal fans there, and I got chatting to someone and said, "Oh, I'm just going to sit outside the stadium just for the vibes." Like they were there from like 10 o'clock, just being outside the stadium, just watching the vibes. And then on the train back, there was Arsenal fans, and I walked back almost practically all the way home from the station. Again chatting to someone, Arsenal fan, I think from this area, but lives in Kansas, and he sort of came over for the last couple of weeks. But he's an English guy, but he's moved to Kansas City, and he said, "Oh yeah, I just came back for wanted to be in and around this for a couple of weeks." So, and I'm a miserable git. I've got my earphones on. I don't talk to anyone when on public transport. Very typical Londoner type. But I couldn't help myself be chatting and getting involved and understanding people's experiences. It was great to see. So when the trophy lift finally happened, and get rid of Kinski or whoever else they were interviewing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So do you have any favourite moments from the trophy lift? Any favourite players, chants, interviews, celebration? Anything that stood out in terms of the trophy lift itself? How did you enjoy that?
The thing that stood out to me was I thought they were rushing it. You could tell it was the first one they'd done in 22 years, because it was almost like the announcer person couldn't keep up with the next player. It was like, oh, Gabby's here, oh, Marino. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I think other trophies that you've seen lifted, it's like this person's up, they get their medal, and then they go off to the kind of platformy bit, and then the next one comes up. It felt as though we were just so excited and so in the moment that it was like 2 or 3 players going up at once. But no, from there, just absolutely loved it. I think my highlight, you probably know what my highlight is going to be, is just seeing that beautiful man, Bukayo Saka's face. Like, I don't know, I just absolutely love him, and seeing him leading, have you seen that video where he shushes the crowd?
Yeah.
And then he starts the LA chant. It's just it's his world, and we're all just kind of living in it. And he's been, I think, I've said a couple of times, I still think he's been good this season, but he's certainly had his criticisms. But to see him kind of at the end of the game, as much of a fan as the rest of us, he's been in the trenches. He's been a large part of the reason where we are right now, alongside Mikel, alongside Saliba and Gabby and Declan Rice. But for him to have kind of came into the club at 7 years old, and then to have now achieved that at only 24 years old as a fan, and I just thought it was so special, because you see, I've seen, so Kieran Tierney, big Celtic fan, he does that with Celtic, but I'd never thought, I don't know why, I just hadn't really thought about it. I just never thought we would see something like that from an Arsenal player. And to see him just enjoying the moment, clapping back at a few of the, I think we discussed this the last time when and Jamie were on as well. There's that little bit of arrogance coming in now, and that's extremely dangerous for the league in Europe if Bukayo Saka begins to believe in himself even a little bit more. But yeah, it was just seeing him and how happy he was, and how happy he was for everyone else. I've watched the video of him singing that LA song honestly about 15 times.
Do you see him? He also sort of redid that. You deserve better photo. He did a better retake with the trophy up there. And what you said, Saka, he's up there getting his trophy. This season he may not be at his best, still contributed. And this is why I think this trophy isn't about this season. Yes, it's the 25-26 trophy, but it is about the last 3 years, 6.5 years, but maybe 3 years of seconds, because even the likes of Odegaard, who didn't play as much of this season, Havertz, who was injured for large parts of the season, Ben White, who's been in and out. This trophy, I think, is more about those last 3 feet and all the people that have been there along the way. So even like Jesus, he's there, and you might feel like, oh, what did you do this season? It's not about that. It's what you've done in the past to get to this point. It's as much of that, this build up. So I think it's great for them, and that's why in a way I'm really pleased that Odegaard got to lift the trophy, because again, a bit like Arteta, so many people easily dismissing him, wanting to move on because he's a couple of injuries, but they forget he was player of the season for 2 seasons in a row, prior to this, and he's a massive important player for us, and I think he's just been unlucky this season with injuries, and I was really happy to see him get to lift it, have that moment, because I think as a captain he represents the club really well, speaks really well for us, and there's always the talk, I should get Rice in, and that's very Tony Adams-esque, that's very old school, but Odegaard I think quietly deserved the respect. He puts the hard yards in on the pitch, he's got quality this season. He's been unfortunate not to show it, but I was also pretty happy for him, and what about my favourite part is, did you see them all joining in their own songs? So like you'd have the Declan Rice song and they'd be singing there, or so they'd have the player chants and they're singing it at the players, or maybe not so much the player doing it, but the other players joining in with the chant. I thought that was good, and Eza being interviewed and then laughing when his chant comes up, and you can hear in the background, "Fuck off, Tottenham, I'm a goon," and he can't help but smile and just laugh. And there's a video of Gyökeres screaming into the camera, "Fuck off, Tottenham."
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It shows like how much how aware of like the kind of online stuff they are, but also B, just how much like they are just not kids, but they are just like fans like us as well, and they're normal. You've seen that with Declan Rice, Saka, Eze, and Timber kind of circling the Emirates on Wednesday morning, and then you've seen it kind of replayed again with like, what was it? The first thing William Saliba said on camera was like, "I love this club." You know what I mean? He just like gets wrapped up in it, and it was just it was, and then you've got like Ben White trying to pull down Hincapié shorts, and it was just it was class. Just back on Odegaard as well, like. It is good to see it, because I think just to add on to what you were saying, like he was leaving Madrid, but he at that point took a chance on us. Like, he took a chance on Arteta, and he took a chance on the project that we were building. He probably had 3 or 4 different offers. He probably could have went to Bayern Munich or whatever, because I think they were interested in him before he went to Madrid. So the fact that he kind of seen this in his future, and he was like, I want to be a part of that, for him to kind of come full circle and actually achieve it, is a really, really, really good thing to see as well, because he could have went elsewhere, and we might not, to your point, we might not have been here, like, had he not done what he done in he's not done a huge amount this season, but had he not gotten us there in the past couple of seasons, then we might not have signed Declan Rice. Do you know what I mean? And it's those kind of sliding doors moments that happen, and it's just a massive. I like what you said about it's a 25-26 title, but it's almost like the 2023 to 26 title, because it's like we wouldn't have gotten here without each one of those incremental steps throughout that journey.
Yeah, and another one that's Rice feels like he's been an Arsenal player all his life. The way he was joining him, he was one leading the "Go on, let's throw Arteta up in the air," and it was weird seeing Arteta in a red. It was weird seeing Kepa, Raya, and Arteta in Arsenal kit, because he's just not so.
Kepa was gloves on, by the way. What was that about?
Yeah, and Raya had his gloves on. Yeah, well, maybe he knew he was going to. He was going to throw Arteta in the air, but there was just so much to watch and enjoy from it, and you just have a big smile in your face, and you say, oh yeah, there's that, and you spot things like that, and then there's bits behind the scenes, and they both people coming in and out, and just all of it, and you're just so happy for all of them. They're all really content, and then they had then they went out and had a big party in the evening. You made that point about they're all aware. Are you surprised that they're all so aware of the talk? Because even now they're saying, Saka saying, well, you can shut up now, and it kept on getting references interview. Does it surprise you that they're, we always get told, it doesn't bother us, we switch you off from that, but then all of a sudden, we know who you are, and we're coming for you.
Well, it's exactly that. It's like they give the media trained answers until they don't have to give the media trained answers, and then you actually realise what is sitting below the media trained answer. It has actually surprised me genuinely. I don't know why, because like in reality,
Well, they're young men. It's an online world, isn't it? Yeah.
exactly, of course. And even if they themselves don't have a Twitter account, like they're still pals with people who aren't footballers. They'll be in group chats the same as the rest of us. Like they're still going to be sent stuff. Like you seen it with Eze and the bottle man, like and him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even if he's not on TikTok and they probably are on TikTok and
Yeah.
Twitter and stuff, maybe
So-
under fake accounts or like aliases. But even if they're not on that and the club has banned them from that, they're going to get them sent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a laugh at the end of the day, and they do need to enjoy it. So, it didn't. It kind of. It's kind of it's a bit of both for me. It kind of did surprise me, but it also didn't. If you know what I mean.
No. Yeah.
But I
know what you
love it.
mean.
I love it. I love the fact
Yeah.
that they're kind of like they're kind of owning it now. Like it's been because
Good.
for so long, for so many years, it's been one way. It's been let's
Mm.
criticize Arsenal, let's criticize these bottlers, let's criticize these players, and obviously Saka's had a lot more to deal with as a result of the England penalty shootout. So it's just been constantly one way, and they haven't been able to clap back. They haven't been able to bite back because they haven't won. But now they have won. It's like, oh, here, have a bit of this, and I think it's just
Yeah.
that's what sport's about. Tabs like that's what like. This is why it sets itself aside for me in terms of like the form of entertainment from like films and stuff. Because you've got this emotional side, you've got this human element, and it's like, I don't want.
There is nothing in the world that can replicate a last-minute winner,
but
there is nothing. Even the birth of a child. Yeah, that's great, but it's a long drawn out. It's a long drawn out process over 9 months. Fucking hell, sounds familiar. but you know that instant, just emotional, visual, just nothing in life replicates that. And I feel sorry for people when they don't get to experience just euphoria.
Yeah, like that Gabriel goal away at Newcastle in September, like that was one of the best. Like it was phenomenal. The feeling.
I'm going to do a spoiler alert for when we do our end of season review. That's my favourite moment of the season.
Oh yeah,
me, you, Moz, and all the lead up to it. But that is my personal favourite moment of the season. That Gabriel header,
massively. But just to round out that point, like I don't think any of us want our players to be robots. Like, and I like the fact that they are elite at sport, but they have a laugh. I really connect to that. Like a lot of players, maybe the other players in other clubs do it, but we just don't see it. Maybe they are like that as well.
Yeah,
but it just feels slightly unique to this group.
No, they're all wankers. We hate them. They're rubbish. No, but it takes a mixture of types, and you can't have everyone. And this is what come out of the interviews. They talked about, like, you know, when things were down, who was speaking. So you know, Norgard, fine, he didn't get many minutes, but apparently he was a real influence behind the pitch. We know how chilled Eze is on the pitch, off the pitch, but maybe his calmness, maybe is not excitable, is what you need. And so he was part of this leadership group, just saying, hey, lads, we've got this. You know, it doesn't always have to be this tub thumping. He's not, you know, the Tony Adams of the world. I think it worked in a time, in a certain era, but these are different people.
Right.
You know, there may be, okay, you need to show some passion, some anger, and it's all the right time, right place. Because you hear that too often. We've all been children. When our parents have shouted at some point, you're just sort of like, well, I'm going to turn off to this. It loses its impact. So you've got to find different ways to get that impact. And I think we've got that mixture within the squad, within the team. Maybe it's a bit more, you know, less of the bang in the table and more the subtlety, Taye. But that doesn't. And I think Arteta said, you know, I think there was an interview saying, potentially we're too nice. But he says, but as soon as they cross the line, they are animals. They've only got one drive, one thing, and that's. And that, I love that aspect of it, because you see Eze, he's like, I've fallen in love with Eze, and I need to go and get, before they run out of lettering, I need to get him on the back of the white shirt. You can't imagine him, but they're all there because they had this drive and this ability and this passion and this never give up attitude. But you can't, you sort of, it's weird, but he seems to be like the nicest, gentlest fella all, but you give him a football, cross that white line.
Yeah.
You know, love it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like it for players, I think, like Jesus, like Nelly. Did you see? I don't know if you saw his Instagram post.
Yeah,
It felt like a bit of a goodbye. Trossard, Ben White. Maybe this is the last time. Yeah, this was their one and only chance to do this. Maybe this is the last time we see them playing for Arsenal. So really pleased for them as well. But yeah, that Nelly. So did you see the Nelly Instagram post?
Yeah, it did feel like a nod to what might be coming. Which, to be honest, again, it's just brilliant that he's been able to kind of bow tie. I was going to say his time at Arsenal. It's certainly not concluded, but you look across the squad and who we are going to need to, well, A, sign players, but also B, raise funds. And he seems like one of the players who would have a decent amount of interest in him and can attract a good fee. So you put 2 and 2 together, you might indeed get 4 with this one. So yeah, I think again, it's a really good way to end it, because I think he might have been one of the players to leave anyway had we not won, and if we don't win had we not won on Saturday, like he might have left with only, was he around for the FA Cup? Probably not. He might
No,
have a trophy.
don't think so. No.
So it's good to them just again put that kind of bow on their time at Arsenal if he is to.
Yeah, because
And for me, like I'm a massive fan of Leo Trossard. And I think he's probably also in a similar category. I would love Leo Trossard to stay if we just have a much better left winger and he plays that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me now, given that. But look, we can worry about that in the summer months. And look, just one final thing on this thing, and maybe this is a nod to the Cronkies. Because boy, do they know how to win. You know, they've yielded, what is it now? So the LA Rams won the Super Bowl last few years, 2-3 years ago. Denver Nuggets won the NBA basketball. Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, which is ice hockey. Colorado Rapids won the MLS Cup. So 3 out of the 4 major sports in America that they've won titles, and the Colorado Mammoth won the lacrosse championship. So well done. but still, they know how to win. Now, unfortunately, they don't do going back to back. So maybe Arsenal's the one to change that. But yeah, what have you made of the Kroenke ownership? And we Kasiva last time was really good in terms of they talked about how they strategized and how they planned this out, and stuff like that. So it's what have you made of the Kroenkes?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's I mean, I don't think anyone would thank you for saying. Well, actually, maybe they would. No, I was going to say would thank you for saying they've done a good job. But I mean, you think about all the noises and all the messages that were coming out before they took full control of the club, and they were like world's #1 enemy for the Arsenal fan base. And what they continually said was, "Why would we enrich Elisha Usmanov by investing?" And he's not potentially going to invest. So all we're going to do is increase the value of his stake. And to me at the time, when was that, like up until 2015-ish, yeah, it was just like a red rag to a bull, because we'd moved to the Emirates and we'd have to sell all our players, and we'd seen this gradual decline, and there was always this thing about like, once we get full ownership, then we'll invest, and they've kind of done that. Like they kind of have been true to their word, as far as a billionaire can be true to their word. Like they've not been miles off it, and like you. It seems like from the interviews before and after the game that the Stan is certainly still in control, but it looks as though day to day it is Josh's club, and he seems to be a real fan. It kind of came across in the All or Nothing documentary about how he did actually seem to care, and I know they're all kind of polished interviews and they probably have talking points and stuff, but it did come across as genuine, and that kind of continued on Saturday. There was a few interviews, like you've seen them interviewing before and after the game, and they just come across as like a really smart ownership. And I know this is potentially, because I probably would have said this last season as well, it's not all just results based. Like,
no,
they do seem to have, like you're saying, they've got that strategy and they've got that plan, and they do seem to just like they deliver on it, and they've kind of built a trust within the fan base now. So was it before Burnley or was it before Atletico Madrid when that tweet came out, and I think Josh Kroenke said something like, "This is the start. This is where we now double down and invest." And you got to believe it, because like had they said that 6-7 years ago, we're probably like, "Oh, classic PR guff." And then you've seen Worcester leaks and all the rest of it. Yeah. But then you've seen what's happened over the past like 3, 4, 5 years. And you've got to take them at face value now. And Yeah, I thought they handled themselves like they. It's never going to be all about them and the
No.
trophy, but I thought they handled themselves well. They spoke extremely well. They clearly know what's going on in the club, which I think is an extremely good thing, because there is always that risk of American owners being aloof and only really using it as a cash cow. But I think they genuinely come across as if they care, and I think uh, I don't know if I was going to go as far as to say we're lucky to have them as owners, but like I think there's a lot worse we could have.
Well, I think with billionaire owners, you've got to hold your nose a little bit,
Yeah.
because there's no such thing as a clean billionaire. And I'm not saying dodgy, but it's just the nature. You don't become a billionaire by doing everything, nice guy sort of thing. But in terms of modern day sports, it's what you need, and sporting success. It's just where the world is, and in a way, thankfully we're not tainted by an oligarch who's part of some Russian
Yeah.
Russian regime. We're not tainted by sports washing, oil money, and I guess this is the next best thing, and in there, because we're not going to have the success without that. This is the thing. So that cognitive dissonance is just the way it is, and you can't basically go and support your local non-league club if you can't handle that sort of stuff. It's just the way it is. So, but they backed it. They backed Arteta. You saw the however many it was, 250 quarter of a billion over the last summer. They've always backed him. They've always sort of been supportive of him. They could have thrown the baby out with the bathwater when things weren't going quite right, but I think if they stuck to the strategy, stuck to the plan. I mean, a bit like LA Rams. I don't know about the other clubs, but young managers, Sean McVay for the LA Rams, there's a certain energy and a certain passion about him, and he's a massive reason why the Rams are success at NFL, and they're all every year favourites for the Super Bowl, a bit like Arsenal favourites for the Premier League on a regular basis. So I think they seem to know what they're doing, and they are interested, and look, there was an interview today, and sort of he put out this quote, which I thought was sort of says a lot. And he goes, and this was Josh Kroenke on whether the second place finishes affected his confidence in the manager. And he says, there are lots of different ways to answer that question, but to me and my father, I think that winning at the highest level is a process, and it's not just something that you can flip a light switch on and go try and do. You have to really put together a plan over a number of years, and you also have to be aware of the competition around you. And there's some incredibly strong competition and some very smart people, historically great teams here in the Premier League. So just putting that group together, knowing the competitive spirit that they are, allowing them to grow together and allowing them to fail at times, I think is part of it too. We came close in different championships in the United States, and sometimes you have to fail before you can succeed, and I think this group really took that to heart. So it's again, and this is to my point, Arteta, if the plan is correct and the process is correct and the strategy is correct, success should eventually come, and then maybe it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back at times. But trust the process, and this is it, and I really do think this is just the beginning. This is the beginning. This is the end of the beginning. And I'm really looking forward to it. So the next trophy we're going to win is against PSG on Saturday, apparently. So look, I mean, it's becoming real. The ticket appeared in the app yesterday, and so we're sort of thoughts are, I think, rapidly turning to Bucharest. The travel, you're Budapest. So did I say Bucharest? Oh my God, Budapest. You're going, I'm going. There's a few of us going. And it feels so. So you were saying, so you would have been about 13 when the last one was on. So so again, maybe your recollections aren't so great. But I lived in New Zealand at the time, so I watched it in the morning. We lost, and then had to go to work, and so I was a bit distant from it and able to move on quite quickly. But given to what we've just said about us winning the league, this is going to be so much fun, so good, because now that we've won the league, we can really enjoy this, and it feels like the semi-final was ages ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, how much are you looking forward to the trip, the experience? Just being there. We're going to be going to the Champions League final.
Yeah, massively. So yeah, I think so I'm a September birthday, so I would have been 12 for the last one. So I remember watching that though, with my dad and his ex-girlfriend at the time, and his what would have been my stepbrother, and he was a Man United fan, and we went 1-0 up, and I started singing, and he started celebrating.
The naivety of youth.
I know he celebrated the 2 Barcelona goals, and I've never wanted to hit somebody in the face more in my life. So anything, Tabs, anything what happens on Saturday is going to be better than that experience. I just remember being so livid. And then there was always that kind of the fear about Thierry Henry going to Barcelona as well. I know he didn't go till the season after the next season, but it was such a horrible experience. So anything on Saturday is going to be better than that. But putting that aside, it is going to be just phenomenal. And I think what's happened over the past week has massively taken the pressure off the fan base. It's massively taken the pressure off the players. And I think throughout this whole season, there's only really been, injuries and nerves were the only really 2 things that were going to trip us up. And we're kind of arriving into Saturday in decent form. Like, we've barely conceded a goal in what feels like months.
One goal in 5, basically.
Yeah. We are coming in with a fan base who is now ultra energized and ultra pumped, and everyone in that stadium, PSG's fans are really, really good, but everyone in that stadium with an Arsenal affiliation or an Arsenal colour on is going to be singing their heart out. And we're coming in with pretty much a full strength squad now that Mourinho's back, apart from Timber. Like, fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed that he's not going to play, but like, it would be great if he was able to do something. But I think it's almost like it just, me and Moz were watching there was an Arteta interview on Sky after the trophy lift, and we just turned to each other and we're like, we're winning this. Like, I have never been more convinced. And I will admit, Tabs, I'm now on the down slope, so I've now been looking at the temperature at 6 p.m. at kickoff time in Budapest, and I've been like, oh no, it's 30 degrees. Like, we're going to...
It's 7. It'll be 7 p.m. I think they're 2 hours ahead. So hopefully...
No, it's 6.
Oh, is there only 1 hour ahead?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it surprised me because I thought it was dead far east. It's 6. Yeah. The only reason I know that is because I was on the UEFA website looking at the programme because I wanted to buy it, and it said 6.
Oh, okay. So it is 6 p.m.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's going to be like 29 degrees, and I'm now like, oh yeah, we did really beat them on the XG battle last season, but then again, they did miss a penalty and they missed some open goal. So it's kind of been like, I've had this real high from like Sunday and Monday of like, we're going to do it, that we're going to whitewash them, to this point where it started to come. And I'm like, oh, no. But no, just to tie that up, I think being out there with you and everyone else, and kind of seeing a bit of Budapest and kind of having that couple of days beforehand to just enjoy it and kind of catch up and have a few beers in the sun, and then roll into Saturday and know that we don't need to win, but if we do win, it just puts the bow tie on probably the best season that I've ever had. And it's such an opportunity that's sitting in front of us, and I'm just so excited.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that we're just all part of the build-up. You know, we're talked about, we've won the league, and the fact that we won it on Tuesday, so it means everyone can party, the players can party, so we can have a proper lead into this, rather than imagine if we had to play a proper game against Palace, and then you get over that, and okay, if we win it, and then you can celebrate, but you can't really proper celebrate because you're back in training the next day, so in a way, is it this season everything is just falling just the right way for us. It's at the right time, and I just love the fact that we're part of the discussion. We're in the Champions League final, which is the biggest game in club football in the world, the second biggest game in football after the World Cup, and we're part of the press staff, we're part of the Champions League chat, so this is massive. So, and because we've got the league in the bag, and I think we don't win this, we don't have a chance of winning this without winning the league, I think, because I just think that it just I don't. Well, of course, you'd have a chance, but I just don't. I think it just wouldn't be. We've got that monkey off our back, so we can get in there with the freedom. And if we do lose it, doesn't take away anything from our league title, so we can still enjoy and celebrate that. And you can imagine the fans still singing champions and having that. Yeah, disappointed, but I'm not going to think there. But yeah, it's just nice to be part of it, and it just feels surreal being there. It won't be until we're in Budapest, until you've got your ticket in your hand that it feels real. Until you've done your walking tour, it's not gonna feel anything. But in terms of
for a river cruise with some Aperol Spritz, mate, what's happening?
That's going to be messy. But so. Just a couple of things, before we close out, just 5 minutes. What do you think is possible against PSG? I know you're confident, but now you're on the bit of the downward, and yeah, what do you think is possible, and who do you think are the key decisions in terms of lineup for us?
So Park and Timber, I think the defence picks itself. I think it's Calafiori, my left back, by the way, just over.
Okay. No, but it's an interesting decision because they offer different things. I think Calafiori's underrated defensively. I mean, that scorpion block that he did, and that one game, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. I think it's Calafiori at left back. I mean, the key thing for me, there's two decisions. It's around who starts up front and around who starts in midfield with Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard. Because I know you. I'll maybe let you come to that, but
no. If Marino was fit, he would start for me.
Yeah,
pure and simple.
I'm much more, I think, in the.
But he can't. He won't start.
No, I don't know.
He half a game against Crystal Palace in what's 4 months. Nah, it's too much. A good closeout player. He might be good to close out. Anyway, your decision is between MLS and Eze.
And no, MLS.
Oh, and Zubimendi. MLS, Eze and Zubimendi.
I don't think he would go Eze and Odegaard, but I 100% think Odegaard will start.
Yes.
I think MLS should start. I think he will start. I think I genuinely think we're at the top table of European football. I think you put your best foot forward, and I think the team that we've been over the past 4 or 5 weeks, we've looked our best when MLS has been playing. He's not a shrinking violet. He's not going to be overawed by the occasion. He's played in the Bernabeu. He's played in the San Siro. He's played in whatever Atletico Madrid stadium's called. Metropolitano. Yeah. He's not going to be overawed by the occasion, and I think I would go MLS, and then up top, I would go Trossard and Saka, and then up top, I've kind of flip-flopped. Before the Burnley game, I was 100% that it would be Kai Havertz, and I think it probably will be Kai Havertz. But I also, which is an absolutely mental thing to say, considering where I was on the player like 2 months ago, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Gyökeres,
No.
What about you?
Yeah, no, Havertz up front for me. I'm going on what Arteta would do. So I'm still torn between MLS and Zubimendi. The performance, a couple of years back, but the performance Zubimendi put on in the Euro final, coming on for Rodri. He's rested up now, and he was a massive part of why we were the best team in the world back in the autumn.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love MLS, and he's got the bravery and stuff like that. I think, because he thinks about finishers and starters and the way the game pans out, I think he will start MLS over Zubimendi. Zubimendi will be a good finisher to have, and the same reason why Gyökeres is a better finisher, not football in terms of coming on as a substitute. You've also got to think about penalties, and who would you rather have on the pitch at the end, Havertz or Gyökeres? If it came to
Havertz, but yeah,
okay, yeah. If both of those are staying up to take a penalty, you're 100% certain Gyökeres will score. Yeah. We've seen Havertz; he scores, but the one against Leverkusen or something like that. So there's all that to think about, and again, Calafiori to start. Especially if we don't have Eze, a bit more creativity in there, and Hincapié is a good closer. Also, Zubimendi starts because something happens at right back. He's then an option. I think he becomes an option at right back, unless he does something with the two left backs. So
would you? Would you go Kepa or Raya?
Oh, fuck. Well, Kepa's earned his spot, hasn't he? He's played a few Champions League games. He played in the last game against Palace, but he let in a goal. He didn't look very convincing.
I don't think Arteta will ever make that mistake again that he made in the Carabao Cup.
No, but there we go. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And there was an interesting thing. The Sun gets something right every now and then. There was a good thing that we both watched in terms of how Arsenal approached the game, and this is why I think Marino in there. I think. If we did have Marino in there, just in terms of to front up against, what PSG can offer, and he's not a defensive person, but I think just something what in terms of physicality, his technical quality. I don't think he'll be phased by it, but also he's a goal threat. I don't know. I think if he was fit, he would start. It just feels like he's a very European player, European style player for Arteta, but I don't think that's going to happen. But again, could be a good finisher. But in terms of how we approach this, there was a really good thing there in terms of tactically, in terms of how we need to press 1-on-1 against PSG when they start to recycle it at the back and put them under pressure and shut out outlets in terms of making sure everyone's man marked. But that's only on occasion. We don't go. Yeah, don't know. How do you see this panning out? I mean, for me, 1-0 to the Arsenal sounds very doable, and it also sounds like what it might be. But I think all results are possible, and I think even penalties, and I think it's just going to be down to the margins. Something's going to go for someone, and it's not going to go for someone else.
Yeah, exactly. What was I going to say there? I kind of lost my point about what I was going to say. But it's so hard to. Oh, that was it. Like I thought that was a really that video that the Sun. I thought that was actually really interesting, and that's kind of what triggered my my fear when I seen it was 29 degrees at 6 p.m. when we're kicking off, because that's not guaranteed how Arteta's going to set up. But I think regardless of whether it's something like that or something different, Declan Rice is going to have a very energetic game, and running around in 18 degrees is massively different to running around in 29. So, and I know it's kind of like 29 degrees for both sets of players, but with how we play compared to how PSG play, I think it's potentially more negative for us. Massive if Hakimi's out. Apparently Hakimi's touch or go for them, which would mean they played Zaire Emery at right back against Bayern in their away leg, so that would be a massive boost for us. How the game will go, not got a clue. Not I honestly, I think I'm going to watch, just out of interest and as part of the build-up, I'm going to watch the both legs from last season. Not that you can really read too much into it, but I mean, there's just so much context there. We've played them relatively recently. We kind of beat them on the stats for whatever that matters. You look at the confidence we've now got. You look at the depth that we've now got. Like, we've had Raheem Sterling and a bunch of 14-year-olds on the bench last season. We missed open goals, but then and Donnarumma had 2 absolutely exceptional games. But then you contrast that with, they missed some open goals, they missed a penalty, game state, they maybe would have played a bit more attacking in the second leg had they not won the first. There's just so, you see Kvaratskhelia absolutely roasting Timber in the first 20 minutes and then dying for the next game and a half, but he's up against Mosquera. There's so many factors that go into it, and I think it sounds like the cop-out answer, but I think as soon as we see the team sheet and as soon as we see the first 5-10 minutes, we'll know exactly how the game's going to go.
You're a big man. You're a big proponent of that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
I would say it's actually more relevant to watch the Bayern Munich semi-final, because that's who they are this season. Yeah, right. Yeah, from this year, rather than watching us, because we were a different team. We were playing on fumes with 12-year-olds. So Marino up front. So it's I would say it's not the same. I would suggest you watch a bit of the Atletico Madrid to see what we are, and then you watch the Bayern one, because they give up chances.
Yeah,
that's one thing they do. I mean, they give. I mean, there were 3 goals up in that Bayern Munich tie, and so they give up chances. But they're also very dangerous. So that there's an opportunity for there. But look, we'll do a proper sort of preview, from Budapest, in Thursday or Friday most probably. But there we go. But yeah, it's too close to call. I think 50-50. So yeah, 5-0 incoming. Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah, get to 3-0 half time, and then we can just sit there and just get the depth.
I know I would not be comfortable at 3-0 because PSG can go. And yeah. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. Look, wow, I was only expecting this to be about 40 minutes. Anyway, an hour later, an hour and 20 later, hour 40 in. Thank you, Andy, for joining me. Always a pleasure to talk. I love chatting with you about all things Arsenal.
Yeah, not a problem, mate. Always a pleasure. Never a chore. Looking forward to seeing you on Thursday or Friday.
Indeed. And look, thank you for everyone who listened, who's made it this far. I hope you all enjoyed it. More Arsenal content to burn your eyeballs with or burn your ears with and stuff and so on. I hope you found this a little bit different and enjoyable. And look, you can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, Insta, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify, and Apple at the Grove AFC. Like, subscribe, comment, leave us a nice little little rating. Really appreciate it. And as I said, next pod will be from Budapest with Ian, aka Ask Cannon Picks, and whoever else cares to join us. And it won't be from a party boat, Andy, unfortunately. Sorry about that, on the Danube. But as much, well, you can dial in from the party boat, but I won't be able to make it. And there we go. All that leaves me to say is thank you again for listening. Keep enjoying this moment. The title win, the build up to the UCL final is happening, and we're all living through what is a very special time for Arsenal to be an Arsenal fan, and it could be even more special come Saturday evening. So until the next time, come on you Gunners.